Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So this is going to be a little how-to tech tip, whatever you want to call it, but we are going to talk about injector flow sheets. I see this conversation happening more and more, and I'm really happy to see it. I feel like it's just because a lot more guys are trying to tune their own trucks, which I'm all for. Just know that if you have anything past stock injectors, you really need to be looking at a injector test sheet. It's very important because it basically gives you the baselines for how the injectors are going to react at certain pulses, etc. So obviously you guys know we are a heavily favored towards Dynamite Diesel. Just the customer service alone is what keeps me coming back, as well as I know that when I put them in, they're going to run right, they're going to make good power, they're going to be clean. And that's what I appreciate. So with that being said, we do have some flow sheets here. So when you buy a set of injectors, and I'm speaking in generality here, but from my experience, Exergy, SNS, Dynamite are going to give you a sheet. Now everyone's sheet looks a little different. Exergy doesn't really have a graph. They have just all the numbers. Dynamite actually does the graph as well. I'm not here to say who's right, wrong, or indifferent. These are just what I have grown accustomed to. So what we have here is the new injectors for the 07 truck. All right. So we have a 325 versus the 305, and all that signifies is that these are 5.9 injectors. These are going to be your early 0304, and these are going to be your late 04.5 to 07. The 120 represents how many horsepower versus these say super mental. So these would be a custom ordered nozzle, so to speak. Here we have, these are a 45% over. So this is what's going in our Mega Cab project. You guys can see here what we have. You'll have the shop name that you bought it from, the customer name, a PO if so needed. They're going to tell you what test stand they were on. This stands for Armadillo 1. And it also gives you the technician's name. You guys see here, a lot of mine have Skylar's initials, SO. Skylar does all of the big ones. I'm not actually sure who did ES, but whatever, no big deal. And then the important number is this LPM. So a factory injector is going to flow right at 20 liters per minute. All right, so these are a 45% over. So if they were a 50% over, this would be 30. So 45 at 29 LPM. That's pretty spot on. And then you're looking here. These are your balance rates between all 6 injectors. Now, Dynamite does you a solid and gives you the variance. I know that other companies do this as well. When you come across here to your idles here, you guys can see these are, so at 25 MPa, this is going to be your rail pressure. This is going to be your microseconds or duration. This is what the fuel injectors will supply at this rail pressure, at this pulse width. And then they give you a few entries into the table over here. And by this, you guys can kind of, I call it interpolate and fill in the gaps here when you get to your EFI Live tuning file or HP tuners, whatever the case may be. Now, in my experience, all of the Dynamite stuff will run idle on a stock tune. Now, the only outlier here, this is a set that they did for David. You guys see the idles here? See how high they are? 21, 25, 21. And all of these, like, 15, 17, 13, 10. Over here we got 14, 13. You guys can kind of see these ones will all run very well on a stock tune. They'll start and they'll idle right. These ones, when you start to get into the bigger injectors, these are 250% overs for David's race truck. They start to get a little bit more, pesky, intricate to tune. But again, that's why that's important. If you know where a stock injector is compared to this, if you see idles like this, low teens,
you're good to go ahead and start that truck, and it'll probably run halfway decent. Now, where it starts to get a little bit crazy, you look here, 1700 microseconds, 160 MPa, so this would be 5.9 full rail pressure, stock, 226 mm's cubed. Then you come over here, 363 mm's cubed. So this is where they start to really spread. Now, obviously, this is a 225% over. These are 45% overs. But that's just kind of showing you guys, like, they'll all idle the same on a base file. But once you start getting into the higher rail pressure, higher duration, the spread really starts to get wide. You can even see that here at 120 MPa, 600 microseconds. We're at 76 mm's cubed. Over here, 120, 600. We're at 123 mm's cubed. So it starts to get pretty far away. But I always get that question, can you idle your truck with fresh injectors? The answer is yes, you can, as long as these numbers look correctly. Now, when you are looking at this and you scale your fueling system, basically what I do is I have a stock flow sheet. I can't find it right now, so I apologize, but I look at a stock flow sheet versus what I'm putting in, and I do math. So let's say a stock injector here does 145 mm's cubed, and these do 226. You'll get the fractional number of that, and from there, let's call it, I don't know, 45% over. From there, what you'll start to do in your EFI or HP tuner files is start to pull fuel away. Now, if you guys notice right here on the idles, I'm probably not going to change that very much. I'm going to at least start the truck and see how it runs. But that's kind of how I start. And from there, it's just a lot of data logging. You do your interpolations on this table, and you come up with a base file. Some tuners, they knock it out of the park. They've been there, done that 1,000 times, and they can get your truck running on one revision. My stuff, I usually have a couple, and that's okay. I'm still learning. And then the other thing on these flow sheets, if you guys look, they're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Dynamite will engrave on each injector a 1 through 6 number that corresponds to this chart. Now, why that matters, if you guys look here, let's see, at full chooch, we have a 226, a 226, a 222, a 224. So what I tend to do is the fatter injectors, so this 226 and this 226, I will put these two in like cylinders 3 or 4, or 2, 3, and 4. And then the leaner injectors, so this 222, this 223, I'll put those in holes 1 and 6. And what that allows us to do is the injectors that are going to run a little bit warmer, I'll put them in the holes that tend to run a little bit cooler. And the injectors that aren't going to run as hot, I'll put them in the holes that are already naturally warm. The other thing that makes it really nice when Dynamite doing that is, let's say you have an injector issue, or you drop a valve seat and you hammer one of your injectors, or you just melt a piston. It happens. What you can do is you can pop the valve cover off, and you can have Dynamite. They'll keep this sheet on file for you. You give them the order number, you tell them which injector had an issue or whatever, and they can make you one injector to replace, and then you don't have to buy 6 new ones. Now, obviously, sometimes you lose all 6 in a motor explosion, whatever, but that is a nice feature that they offer with these flow sheets being the way they are. But yeah, you guys can kind of see. And one of the things I always get asked is how consistent is Dynamite. I apologize for this swear word here. I apologize. But you guys can see here, this was a set that they made for me on November 21. This is a set from March of 21. At full delivery, we have 363. Over here, we have 364, 367, 364. 368, 366, so very similar injector sets, even as you look through the other parts of the table here on these 66 LPMs. These ones I have made a lot of horsepower on, but that is taking them well past where they need to be. But yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at on these flow sheets here. I always recommend, if you're buying used injectors, have the new buyer, or the seller rather, they should have at least gotten this flow sheet brand new, or they'll send them in and get them tested and give you a new flow sheet. These sheets will make your tuner's life so much easier. They'll be able to dial them in better, and it doesn't matter. Extra G, SNS, Dynamite, Flux, any company that makes injectors should be giving you this sheet. It makes the tuner's job easier, or if you're the tuner, it allows you to figure out how to scale these injectors into your calibration. Again, very simple information, but very critical, and hopefully this helps you guys understand these sheets a little bit better, at least if you're buying a Dynamite product. And again, guys, I have helped people with tuning before. When you're trying to tune your own stuff, especially if you have Dynamite stuff, I'm more than happy to help you out, get your truck running right. It is no secret, on my black truck, it runs really clean. You know why it runs really good? Because I have a lot of seat time in that. I know how those turbos react. I know how the trends comes up on boost, and all of those things coupled with driving it frequently, regularly in different scenarios, and just tweaking it and tweaking it and tweaking it lead to a really good running truck. It's no secret. If I put my first calibration in when I first get a set of injectors from Dynamite, it might not run as good as it usually does, and that's okay. That's why we retune it, we data log it, and everything else. So in closing, these are your injector flow sheets. Hopefully now these numbers make sense to you guys. Again, this is going to be MPA is rail pressure, US is duration, which is how long the injector is on for. These numbers are going to be mm cubed of fuel injected. All right. Then you have your average over here, which sometimes it catches the scale weird. Like if you see here, it says like 10.9. I don't know if it tries to average that into this, but that number is usually not good there. But the rest of them always work out pretty good. And then here is your spread. Again, I believe 2% is the maximum allowed. So 1.62, these guys are killing it. 1.66, 1.10, and then over here 1.79. So again, I like them. It also gives you the test stand, again, the fluid that they used, the temperature that the fluid was, who did it. I don't know if all companies are like that, but it is nice. If I have issues and I see like SO, I call Skyler and I'm like, hey, these things are doing something weird, and he's able to talk me through it. And again, this is just a bar graph style chart of this table here. And the nice part is, I can't speak for everybody else, but I know Dynamite, if you have certain set points that you'd like the injectors flowed at, as long as you get with the sales guy or the company you're buying them from and say, hey, I want to know what these things float at 190 MPA at 1500 microseconds, they will basically just add a column onto this table here and give you that number. So again, not the most exciting things, but a lot of you guys are starting to tune your own stuff. Try to enjoy it, have fun. It's a learning experience. Hopefully this helps you guys, or if it's completely new to you, at least you know what the sheet is. Don't just throw it away, keep it. Your tuner will thank you. Anyway, guys, like this one, drop a comment down below. If you have any information on other companies that also offer these flow sheets, drop them down in the comments below. From what I've seen, Flux, SNS, Extra G, Dynamite, I do know for sure. I believe Industrial does, but it's been a while since I've gotten a set of their injectors. If you know of any other companies that offer it, drop them down in the comments. I don't mind. Subscribe if you're not already, guys, and as always, I'll catch y'all on the next one.